Hi, I'm Sue. Thank you for joining me for today's Bible reading for October 1st. Today we are reading the book of Malachi, another short book. And be sure to check the description of the YouTube video for the Bible Project overview of this book. I don't have the introduction to Malachi that I did because I just haven't done it yet. These things take time. I think I have 16 out of the 66 books finished with introductions. So, I may or may not finish all that, but I don't have one for Malachi right now. It may pop onto the Malachi playlist later on. For now, though, get a hold of that Bible Project one if you want a good short synopsis of the book. They just do a fabulous job. A couple brief notes from that Bible Project video. Malachi takes place 100 years after the return from exile. The two books we just read, Haggai and Zechariah, were after the exile, after the Israelites returned from exile and began rebuilding their homes and the temple. So this is 100 years after the return, and the temple has already been built. And according to Bible Project, I can't think of a better word, the flow of this book is that God will make a claim against Israel. Israel will disagree or question God, and then God will have a response. And they said this happened 6 times. Now you can keep a watch for this because the headings that I'm using don't necessarily correlate with that. They're not wrong. They're just not focused on this part, this issue. So you can listen for these claims. The first 3 claims expose the corruption in Israel, and the next 3 claims, according to Bible Project, confront the corruption. Not really sure what the difference is between those 2 things, but I'm going to tell you briefly these 6 events so that you can kind of be aware of them when we're reading through. Number 1, God's love toward Israel, which they argue him down on that. Number 2, that they despise the temple. They weren't properly handling the temple the way it was supposed to be handled. Number 3, idolatry and divorce. So unfaithfulness to God and unfaithfulness to their spouses. 4, the return of the Lord. And there's more to all these than what I'm saying. I'm just giving you a basic overview here. 5, tithes, the subject of tithing and turning back to God. 6, God's neglect, Israel's accusation of God's neglect and that the wicked are prospering. And God's response to that is a short story. And then there also is a conclusion and an appendix to this book. How about that? So here, Malachi 1:1, the Lord's love for Israel. A revelation. Yahweh's word to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, says Yahweh. Yet you say, how have you loved us? Wasn't Esau Jacob's brother, says Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob. But Esau I hated and made his mountains a desolation and gave his heritage to the jackals of the wilderness. Whereas Edom says, we are beaten down, but we will return and build the waste places. Yahweh of armies says, they shall build, but I will throw down, and men will call them the wicked land, even the people against whom Yahweh shows wrath forever. Your eyes will see, and you will say, Yahweh is great, even beyond the border of Israel. Disobedience of the priests. A son honors his father, and a servant his master. If I am a father, then where is my honor? And if I am a master, then where is the respect due me? Says Yahweh of armies to you priests who despise my name. You say, how are we despised by your name? You offer polluted bread on my altar. You say, how have we polluted you? In that you say Yahweh's table is contemptible. When you offer the blind for sacrifice, isn't that evil? When you offer the lame and sick, isn't that evil? Present it now to your governor. Will he be pleased with you, or will he accept your person, says Yahweh of armies? Now please entreat the favor of God, that he may be gracious to us. With this, will he accept any of you, says Yahweh of armies? Oh, that there were one among you who would shut the doors, that you might not kindle fire on my altar in vain. I have no pleasure in you, says Yahweh of armies, neither will I accept an offering at your hand. For the rising of the sun, even to its going down, my name is great among the nations, and in every place incense will be offered to my name, and a pure offering, for my name is great among the nations, says Yahweh of armies. But you profane it, in that you say Yahweh's table is polluted, and its fruit, even its food, is contemptible. Now, a picture just came to my mind, so I'm going to talk about it for a minute. So we just came out of the feast of Rosh Hashanah, the first of the fall feast, the head of the year, the new year on God's calendar. So one of the traditions at Rosh Hashanah, and this is totally spur of the moment, I've got to make sure I can articulate this properly, but one of the traditions is a certain blowing of the shofar, and that is 1 long blast, 3 short blasts, and then 9 shortest blasts, like bursts, like boop, 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 and then the very longest blast, which is long and steady. So it's quite an art to blow a shofar. And someone sent me a video of, I assume it's a rabbi, standing in Jerusalem in the area near the Wailing Wall. So there's tourists going by, all kinds of people out there. I'm sure it's Muslims, Christians, Jews, people over at the Wailing Wall. It's fairly busy, and it was nighttime, but there were, lights around lighting up the walls and stuff. Really neat scene. And this man walks out in the middle of all that activity, random activity, and blows the shofar. And it was so poignant to me because how many people there really understood what he was doing? And this blowing of the shofar, just the whole scene was a fulfilled prophecy, right? Jerusalem is active and prospering. They have their land back, right? They have the land back since 1948, Jerusalem back since 1967, and God has moved and done what he said he was going to do from way back. And it just dawned on me, there's verses that say, truth lies fallen in the streets, or light shines in the darkness and the darkness doesn't comprehend it. Wisdom cries out. And so here's this truth of God being blasted on the shofar, and this obvious scene of, of God's fulfillment and his sovereignty and his everlasting faithfulness and justice. And yet how many people there were completely oblivious to the reality and the profundity of that situation? So cool. And see right here, it says, I'm going to relate it to the verse I just read now. It says, from the rising of the sun, even to the going down, my name is great among the nations. That's indisputable. In every place, incense will be offered in my name, and a pure offering, for the name is great among the nations. But you profane it. Like, you are so clueless. This is the reality here, but you are so far off track, it's not even funny. So that's what came to mind when I read that. And that happens repeated umpteen times every day all around us. Verse 12, you profane it in that you say, Yahweh's table is polluted, and its fruit, even its food, is contemptible. You say also, behold, what a weariness it is, and you have sniffed at it. Like, it's just indifference to these magnificent ways of God. Thinking that you know better, right? And you have brought that which was taken by violence, the lame, the sick. Thus you bring the offering. Should I accept this at your hand? But the deceiver is cursed, who has in his flock a male, and vows and sacrifices to the Lord a defective thing. For I am a great king, says Yahweh of armies, and my name is awesome among the nations. Warning to the priests. Now you priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not listen, and if you will not take it to heart to give glory to my name, says Yahweh of armies, then I will send the curse on you, and I will curse your blessings. Indeed, I have cursed them already, because you do not take it to heart. Behold, I will rebuke your offering, and will spread dung on your faces, even the dung of your feasts, and you will be taken away with it. You will know that I have sent this commandment to you, that my covenant may be with Levi, says Yahweh of armies. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him that he might be reverent toward me, and he was reverent toward me and stood in awe of my name. How many people were in that courtyard at the temple grounds when that shofar was blown the other day that stopped and realized and recognized and were like, wow, how beautiful, how awesome, how just blessed to be in that moment and be there and watch it. I felt that way just seeing the little video of it. I'll try to remember to put a link of that in the description, if I can do it. Let's see, but you may be able to search it out anyway. For me, I saw it on a Yahoo short. Let me keep reading. But you do not take it to heart. Behold, it said that Levi, they stood in awe of my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and unrighteousness was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and uprightness, and turned many from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahweh of armies. But you have turned away from the path. You have caused many to stumble in the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahweh of armies. Therefore I also have made you contemptible and wicked before all the people, according to the way you have not kept my ways, but have had respect for persons in the law. Judah's marital unfaithfulness. Don't we all have one Father? Hasn't one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously, every man against his brother, profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah has dealt treacherously, and abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah has profaned the holiness of Yahweh which he loves, and has married the daughter of a foreign god. Yahweh will cut off to the man who does this him who wakes and him who answers out of the tents of Jacob, and him who offers an offering to Yahweh of armies. This again you do, and you cover Yahweh's altars with tears, with weeping, and with sighing, because he doesn't regard the offering any more, neither receives it with goodwill at your hand. Yet you say, why? Because Yahweh has been witness between you and the wife of your youth, against whom you have dealt treacherously, though she is your companion, and the wife of your covenant. Did he not make you one, although he had the residue of the Spirit? Why one? He sought godly offspring. Did he not make you one, although he had the residue of the Spirit? Why one? He sought godly offspring. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let no one deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. One who hates and divorces, says Yahweh God of Israel, covers his garment with violence, says Yahweh of armies. Therefore pay attention to your spirit, that you don't be unfaithful. Judgment at the Lord's coming. You have wearied Yahweh with your words, yet you say, how have I wearied him? In that you say, everyone who does evil is good in Yahweh's sight, and he delights in them. Or where is the God of justice? Just read. If you want to know the answer to that question, just go read all the major prophets. You see the God of justice there. He's very faithful, very patient, very long-suffering, and very merciful. Chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me. This is John the Baptist, right? And the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come into his temple, and the messenger of my covenant whom you desire, behold, he comes, says Yahweh of armies. Right? Isn't that the prophecy that describes John the Baptist who comes later? I mean, this is the close of the Old Testament canons, and John the Baptist opens the next one, right, with the book of Matthew. He's in there. He's not the beginning of the book, but he's in there. Actually. Okay, verse 2. But who can endure the day of his coming, and who will stand when he appears? He is like a refiner's fire, and like launderer's soap. And he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi, and refine them as gold and silver. And they shall offer to Yahweh offerings in righteousness. Then the offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasant to Yahweh, as in the days of old, as in ancient years. I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against idolaters, and against perjurers, and against those who oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, and the fatherless, and who deprive the foreigner of justice, and don't fear me, says Yahweh of armies. I'm going to read that list, a short list of it. Sorcery, adultery, perjury, oppression of the hireling, oppression of widow, oppression of the fatherless, depriving a foreigner of justice, and not fearing God. For I, Yahweh, don't change, therefore you, sons of Jacob, are not consumed. Robbing God. From the days of your fathers you have turned away from my ordinances and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, says Yahweh of armies. But you say, how shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you say, how have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with the curse, for you rob me, even this whole nation. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and test me now in this, says Yahweh of armies. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there not be room enough for. I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruit of your grounds, neither shall your vine cast its fruit before its time in the field, says Yahweh of armies. All nations shall call you blessed, for you will be a delightful land, says Yahweh of armies. The righteous and the wicked. For your words have been stout against me, says Yahweh. Yet you say, what have we spoken against you? You have said it is vain to serve God, and what profit is it that we have followed his instructions, and that we have walked mournfully between Yahweh of armies? Now we call the proud happy, yes. Those who work wickedness are built up. Yes, they tempt God and escape. Then those who feared Yahweh spoke one with another, and Yahweh listened, yes he does, and heard, and a book of memory was written before him for those who feared Yahweh and honored his name. They shall be mine, says Yahweh of armies, my own possession in the day that I make, and I will spare them, as a man spares his own son who serves him. Then you shall return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him who serves God and him who doesn't serve him. The day of the Lord. For behold, the day comes, it burns as a furnace, and all the proud and all who work wickedness will be stubble, and the day will come, and the day that comes will burn them up, says Yahweh of armies, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But to you who fear my name, shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in its wings. You will go out and leap like calves of the stall. You shall tread down the wicked, and they will be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I make, says Yahweh of armies. A final warning. Last paragraph. Remember the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded to him in Horeb for all Israel, even statutes and ordinances. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the great and terrible day of Yahweh comes. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to the fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with a curse. And that's it for today's reading for October 1st. So thank you again for listening. Be sure to check the comments for helpful links and for that Bible project overview link. Feel free to comment, and I will talk to you next time. God bless you. Shalom.